Welcome to the lecture on breaking down the concept. What we're going to do here is just go over the image and we're going to detail all the objects and all the assets we need to create this scene basically. And I've already created a list here. You can download this if you haven't done so. Go and do that now. I've also created an empty version of this. So if you're not doing this scene and you're doing a different concept image or your own concept, then you can populate this with your own objects in the same way as I've done here, and then you can just follow along as we go through the rest of the course. So the first thing I've done here is Skybox. We are going to use one item from Unity library, and that's a skybox. And the reason for that is because this is a forest scene. You can't see above the canopy of trees. I think that'll be fine. I think it'll be enough for us to use a library version to get what we need out of it. There is a moon in the one I'm going to be using, and it will cast the colour I'm looking to create in this scene. So it'll work fine. That is the only asset we're going to be using from a library. So second to that is terrain. Yes, we're not going to build this in Max, we're going to create this in Unity, but we need to get a base down before we can start populating it with all our objects. So that's the first thing we're going to do in Unity is create the terrain. And then we're going to create some models. We're going to start simple and build our way up to more complex objects. A few props. The difference between a prop and an environment decoration and a focal object, for example, and billboard, you can see I've categorized them here. A prop is something that the player may interact with. So he may go to this barrel and kick it and it'll spark a lot of sparks off it, for example. It won't do in our scene, but if it was in a game environment, you know, there might be some interaction with this barrel. Same with the axe. The player might be able to pick it up and take it with him. Logs and the tree stump, because the axe is inside the tree stump, so there's going to be some potential interaction there. So these are the first four objects we're going to build, and something fairly straightforward to get us started. And then we're going to create some more tree stumps for environment decoration, so we can populate it in the background perhaps. Then we're going to create these two large oak trees at the front of the scene here, this one here and this one here. Two very unique objects, and that's why I've called them focal objects, because when you come up to this area, I want these two great big trees to sort of like loom out of the darkness and be a sort of focal point for the player, basically a focal point of the scene to draw the player's attention towards the hut. And then we're going to create a bunch of tree types for basically population and decoration in the background here. All these will be created, and we'll probably do, I don't know, half a dozen to 10 trees. And the great thing about trees is that you can place them and rotate them slightly, and then it immediately looks like you've got a different tree. So we can get away with quite a lot in that respect. And then we're going to create some grasses. We want short grass, long grass, even longer grass. On the edges it might be slightly dead and thin and short, and as it goes back into the foliage, back into the undergrowth where the player's not going to walk, you might want it lusher and longer in amongst the bushes, for example. And then we're going to create some ground plants to cover our floor. Some crawling ivy and some crawling plants to crawl up the buildings and up the trees. It always looks pretty cool when we get that. Some various bush types, some forest floor clutter like little twigs and sticks and various things that we can use to decorate the forest floor. There's a dead tree back there that you can see. We'll create one of those, and then we're going to do a bunch of rocks. Small scatter rocks that we can just put on the ground, which is really good for breaking up the floor Step slab rocks, they are these here that have been placed to form like a path out of, and this is always good. It always sort of paths are always good because it guides the player and it sort of like says come and explore me, which is quite cool. And we may even place them coming into the scene as well. Yeah, so then we're going to do various sized rocks, quite mossy variations of them, some large rocks. We could download these, but we're not going to. We could get them from a library, but we're going to create them ourselves, and I think you'll be surprised how quick and easy it is once you learn how to do it. And we get onto the main feature, the hut. Lots of different objects. I've broken it down into first the door, which is a prop animated. In the game, the player might push it open, but in this scene, we're just going to have it sort of banging, sort of in the wind, as it were. So I'm going to show you a little bit of animation there, which would be cool. And then we're going to create the main hut, the main structure, walls. Then the roof, the chimney, I've broken it down because it's a different material. And I've also separated the steps and porch, which we can use, which we can build separate and lean up against the main structure there. And then we're going to create some particles, some fire and smoke. Obviously fire for in here, some smoke, some rolling mist that sort of drifts through the forest. That's not the same as fog. We're going to create some fog in Unity, but I want to create some sort of rolling mist which is drifting through the forest, which should look pretty cool. And then some general air particles as well. So first of all, we've got to create a white box. Objects using this list, and then we're going to create the actual real models once we've modified and tweaked our box level, so we're happy with all the sizes and we're happy with the sort of layout and the spatial and the space of the scene. And once we get the box mapping, we may add to this list some more objects. So that's it for now. We'll keep check on this list as we go forward, and let's get started.